Good afternoon, class. Today you are going to be taking some Cornell notes as part of your homework. You'll be taking Cornell notes on our essential question, how do authors create ethos, pathos, and logos in their writing using rhetorical strategies? Take just a moment. You could even pause the video to set up your Cornell notes on your binder paper and write your essential question up at the top. By the time you're done, your notes should look something like the picture here. Feel free to pause the video at any time so that you can catch up if you need a little bit more time to write down your notes. This video is for you. The first term that we're going to talk about is a term called diction. When we're talking about diction, we're talking about the author's word choice. So the specific words that the author decides to use in order to elicit some sort of response from the audience. Two other terms that we need to know and need to define, and then therefore should be in your notes, are the terms denotation and connotation. When we're talking about denotation, denotation means the literal or specific dictionary definition of a word. So if I were to look up this word on Google, this is what would pop up. The connotation of the word are all of the meanings, the associations, or the emotions that have come to be attached to the word. These may be variable from person to person, but they also may be cultural. So for example, when we're talking about a celebrity, the denotation of this word is a famous or a well-known person. But we can either have negative connotations or positive connotations to the word celebrity. The positive connotations that go along with the word celebrity are things like Hollywood and glamour or role models or even someone like Ryan Gosling. But the negative connotations of the word celebrity call to mind some sort of scandal or adultery, some form of entitlement or greed over wealth. So for example, say I had these two words, smart and clever. If I'm talking about these terms and their denotation, the denotation of these words, the literal dictionary definition meaning that they have in common is someone who is intelligent. But the connotations of these words are very different. If I were to describe someone as smart, that would have a different connotation to as if I were to describe someone as clever. Smart connotes some sort of academic or official type of intelligence, while clever connotes some sort of malicious or vengeful or sneaky kind of intelligence. Clever is a word that you would use to describe, say, a villain in a novel or a movie. So, for example, we have this picture of Gollum over here. And then that cleverness is maybe being used against someone else. Now you're going to do some practice in your own notes. You're going to pick a pair of words below. So teacher or professional or professor, tired or exhausted, relaxed or lazy. For each of the individual words, I want you to draw a picture in your Cornell notes that illustrates its connotation. So what does relaxed mean versus what does lazy mean? I want you to draw the difference. Then below your two illustrations, I want you to write these two sentences. The first sentence, you're going to write the denotation or the dictionary definition of the pair of words. So, for example, the denotation of these words is intelligent, something like that. In the next sentence, in the second sentence, I want you to explain the difference between their connotations or associated meanings. So, for example, the connotations of these words are different in that smart connotes blank, while clever connotes blank. So you're going to go ahead and pause the video right now. You're going to choose two of these pairs to illustrate and then explain the differences between their connotations. Go ahead and pause now. So when we are reading for diction, it's helpful to think about the rhetorical devices that those word choices are trying to lead you to. Some questions that you will want to ask yourself when reading for diction are things like, How does the author's word choice make me feel towards their topic? Using specific emotional words can create an emotional appeal or pathos. Another question you could ask yourself is, how does the author's word choice establish their persona and make them sound trustworthy or relatable? If I am making sure that my word choices are accurate, or they somehow otherwise create a sense of trust and building ethos. Another question you could ask yourself is, how does the author's word choice target their specific audience and purpose? So how does my word choice specifically tailor itself to, for example, in Martin Luther King Jr.'s drum major instinct speech, how does the word choice he used target a Christian audience? Or how does the author use topic-specific jargon or technical vocabulary? If I am writing a document specifically tailored for mechanics, I'm probably going to include some kind of word choice and diction that is specific to the job, to a mechanic's job. Repetition. So go ahead and skip a line. We have a new term other than we're separate from diction now. So repetition is a literary device that repeats the same words or phrases multiple times in order to make an idea more memorable. Repetition functions by adding poetic style to a writer's work. By using repetition, writers can emphasize specific word choices and make them more memorable. Sometimes repetition and diction work together. Repetition draws the attention of the readers to a particular idea. You're going to pause the video for just a moment. I want you to think about this question at the bottom of the slide. Which rhetorical device does repetition most likely help to create? Go ahead and skip another line. We're moving on to our next term, rhetorical questions. A rhetorical question is a question that's asked for a specific effect, but no real answer is expected. My mother loves to use rhetorical questions, and she does not need an answer to the questions that she asks. For example, if my mother ever asks me, "Do I look stupid to you?" she doesn't need my answer, and in fact, it'd be better if I don't answer that question. Another example of a rhetorical question comes from Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice play. A character is trying to build empathy on stage. He asks, "If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? If you poison us, do we not die? And if you wrong us, shall we not revenge?" The answers to all of these questions is yes, but the author doesn't actually need the audience to say yes in order to move on and make their point. Writers use rhetorical questions to reinforce ideas and arouse interest. Even though they don't require answers, they actually force the reader to answer the question in their mind with the only logical answer. Again, I want you to pause the video for just a moment and answer the question down below. Which rhetorical device do rhetorical questions most likely help create? Go ahead and skip a line. We're on our next term, which is parallel structure. Parallel structure is the pattern in speech or writing that represents the same, that repeats the same grammatical structure. So for an example from Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, "I Have a Dream." He says, "I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation, and I have a dream today." That parallel structure is more than just the repetition of a word. It's the repetition of a whole sentence phrase or grammatical structure. The use of parallel structure allows the writer to keep a consistent structure to their work and create a balanced flow of ideas. It's a tool for persuasion, and it usually shows that 2 or more ideas have the same level of importance. I want you to pause the video one more time. Over in the left-hand side of your notes, I want you to ask and then answer this question: which rhetorical device